Hello everybody, today I'm going to talk to you about DeColourant. We've got two products here which are from DeColourant. This is a paste and this is a spray. The idea is you take colour out of fabrics and you don't always get the colours you expect. A bit like bleaching really, only this you can control better because bleaching you have to stop it from working. This is activated by heat. It doesn't work on all fabrics as you're going to see. It does work on quite a few and it works on papers as well. Over here, this is a tissue paper that I have used a stamp on. There's the stamp. And this is a tissue paper where I've put it through a stencil, which is this stencil here. And we're going to use that again in a minute. This is that same stamp which I've used on a black denim, and as you can see that's a sort of mustardy colour that's come out on there. I haven't deactivated it too much. This one here, which I really like, is the spray one, which is on a really fine cotton. I think I quite like that one. And surprisingly, this is on a blue cotton fabric using the same stamp. There's no paint on this, this is just where the dyes come out. I particularly like the back because it's not quite as vibrant. So I'm going to show you how these all work. Let's move those out of the way. This one, I don't actually know if you can see that. I did do it onto some nice velvet, but all it's done is eat into the velvet. So it's a little bit more like DeColourant instead of DeColourant, which was a bit disappointing because I was rather hoping it would work. I've also tried it on some wool and it didn't work on the wool, and I tried it on some black wool, it didn't work on that either. So for today we'll just stick to what I know is going to work, and then the idea is that on Experimental Wednesday, which is on the 19th of this month, we will play with lots more different things, and for people that are coming they can bring lots of own fabrics and lots of their own papers. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that the room is very well ventilated. So we have a door and a window open. It is a bit smelly, this product, but it works brilliantly. I'm going to show you on some tissue paper. So this comes in packs like this. The first thing that we do as you'll notice, I've got a piece of paper here on top of a mat, and then I've got a piece of parchment paper over the top of that, and that's because I want to keep all of the products separate, and although this is a really mucky iron, I don't want it all sticking to the iron if I can help it. So the first thing we'll do is use this stamp. I've got gloves on because it doesn't really irritate, but it may do. I'm going to just take this out of the lid rather than dipping that in there with a sponge, and this is just a little washing up sponge that's been cut up, and then I'm just going to dab it onto my stamp. Put the lid back on so don't knock it over. I'm then going to stamp it on there, and you'll notice I'm doing it on the mat because it's a bit spongy. It's best to stamp on spongy surfaces than it is on a hard flat surface because you get a better result. I'm now going to dry that because it won't work unless it's dried. Using the hairdryer, we'll just quick give it a blast. You know when it's dry because, like all liquids, you can't see it. So now I'm going to place it on top of my paper. I'm going to put another piece of paper on the top. And this iron is on as hot as it can go. Now you now have to be patient because it takes a few minutes for the actual DeColourant to work. can see I'm not putting any pressure on this. I've just laid the iron on. And there we have it. So that's on tissue paper. This is one that's on that cotton fabric that I told you about earlier. I've already printed on it, just to speed the process up a little bit. And this is using the spray through the stencil. And in a minute I'll show you how to create layers with it as well. This one might take a little bit longer to do than the paper because we've got to get the heat through the fabric. I think I can see some wet patches here, so it might not have been totally dry, which is a bit naughty. Just move the iron around. And I'm sure anybody watching this will be thinking, well, what am I going to do with that then? So you can use this to stitch into afterwards. Even the papers can be stitched into. You just put a backing on them and you can stitch into them fine. And there you go. So that's that one. So I'll show you now with the different fabrics. So this blue, I'm going to pop that on there, move those out of the way, and I'm just going to spritz it along the edge there. Gently lift that up and move it down a bit more, but I'm going to move it across a bit. I'm not putting huge amounts on, it just helps you get a pattern. Okay, we'll dry it with the hairdryer. For speed. I think I might have put rather a lot on the top bit. It doesn't want to dry. Okay, let's pop that under there. Just one tip, when you're using parchment like this to protect your irons or your surface, usually I write on the top bit tops. I slide it on and off so that I know which is the top bit so it doesn't gunge up my iron. Though saying that, the irons do get quite gungy. Just move it along gently. Iron can be as hot as your fabric or your paper can take. So if you're a little bit worried that you're using a delicate fabric or a synthetic one where it won't take much heat, then you'll need to turn your iron down. But this is on maximum. And also if you're not too precious about your iron, you can put it onto steam and steam through it, because that will help too. But you won't have the paper on the top then. And there's the results of that one. So I particularly like the fact that this has got quite a lot of the decolorant on it, which was the bit that didn't want to dry. So it's very vibrant and bright, whereas these bits here are more subtle. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you use decolorant. And as I say, you can use bleach as well, which we could water down, and there are other things that we can do too. So if you fancy having a play, do come to Experimental Wednesday on the 19th. If that's not an option, then you can get these products from Art Van Gogh and other stores that sell jacquard products, and just have a play and see how you go. Thank you for watching.